So 90-90 is an excellent base position to do work out of. It's also very often a goal in and of itself, given how much external rotation for the lead leg and internal rotation for the trail leg is required for this position to be comfortable and stable enough to produce force and do work in. I'll show a few regressions within this video for other work for external rotation and internal rotation for the hips. Take a look at some of the other videos on that topic on my YouTube channel. So within 90-90, it's called 90-90 to begin with because it's a series of 90 degrees, ideally, okay? Here, you can use your hands here if you want to measure this, or if you have a yoga mat or a rug, you can square yourself up to those edges and measure this way, okay? My thighs are at 90 degrees. Once those are locked, each of my knees is at 90 degrees, and then my ankles are at 90 degrees. Again, in this position, this lead leg, we are working external rotation of this lead leg, and internal rotation, that thighs rotating toward the inside of the body of this trail leg. A few options that we have here. We can groove, and today I'll be showing you how to do passive range holds for this setup here. So a few options that we have here to begin with. One is to stay nice and tall, okay? To regress, you can also come down to the elbow. To progress, we can go hands off of the ground as we're finding this end range, okay? So we're going to start by working external rotation of this lead leg. As I'm diving over this lead leg here, I'm not just rounding in the back. The important stuff that I'm looking for is the relationship between the pelvis and this thigh bone. So as I'm leaning forward, I'm thinking belly button forward, chest tall, diving forward with a straight spine. I can think of scooping my tailbone up to the ceiling. I'm looking to tip that pelvis forward. When that pelvis stops moving, I stop moving. That's my end range. And I want to feel stretch here in the back of butt stuff, side of butt stuff, the external rotators here in the butt. If you don't feel stretch, back on out, maybe put the elbow down and see if you can't play around to find a stretch. That's the first step. Let's say you have a stretch. We're going to go for a passive range hold. A good goal would be to do 6 to 8 of these, okay? The way this is going to work, I've found the stretch. I'm going to take a breath in, and I'm going to start squeezing all of this inside of thigh stuff, front of body stuff, with the attempt of pulling this heel up to my opposite shoulder, this shin up to my chest. I'm thinking of trying to lift this leg off the ground into my chest. It's not going to happen, but that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to take that breath in, try to pull that leg up off the ground, develop all that tension. Let it build, let it build, let it build. Maximum squeeze. Once I develop that maximum squeeze, I'm going to push the arms into the ground, trying to bring that leg with me. Hold, 2, 3, keep pulling. Keep pulling. I'm still working here even as I'm coming back down. Pulling all the way to the basement of that stretch again. Now I can take a quick breath and break. Reset. Breath in. Squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Try to get that leg off the ground and rock on back. See if you can't get that leg to come with you immediately. Hold. 2, 3. Pulling, 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 pulling back on down. As you can see with me, there's a little bit of lag. That lag represents the gap between what I have passively and what I own actively. This is a drill, this is an exercise to start closing that gap and beginning to own all of the passive range in this hip. So again, I'm diving forward here, keeping a tall spine. I'm going to take that breath in. I'm going to start to think of lifting this heel to my shoulder, trying to get my ankle and my heel above my knee. That's external rotation for this hip. Hold, 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 and tip on back. Here, I'm tipping, that leg isn't coming yet. Now it comes with me, and that ankle's falling below the knee. That's okay, right? There's a bit of passive range that I don't own actively. This is what helps close that gap. Good. And if you're doing this right, I'm talking in the video, but if you're doing this right, When you're at your maximum force, you will not be able to talk. Hold and pull. Pull, 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 pull that heel up to your shoulder as you drive on up and tip on back. Good. Down. Let's turn our attention to this back leg. A couple different options here. One, I can take this leg into more passive range by lifting that heel, taking a breath in, and holding. Holy smokes, side of butt stuff. Good. Right? This is, again, a passive range hold for internal rotation of this hip. What we're looking to challenge is this side of hip stuff, maybe this top of front pocket stuff here, definitely this top of front pocket stuff here. As we're lifting, or as we're holding, when I lift, wherever my pelvis is, it stays there. Good. Hold, 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 and I'm just barely off the ground here. Another option would be to rock on back, take a breath in, try to pull this heel to the shoulder, develop tension, all this stuff squeezing, building, building, building tension, and then to rock on forward and carry it with you. Hold, 2, 3, still a long way to go for me in this hip. An additional option for training this trail leg stuff would be to train some of the abductors, some of this side of butt stuff. Breath in, developing tension, stiff arming the ground, and lifting that whole shin up off the ground like I'm serving a dinner tray on it. Hold, 2, 3, set on down. Right? If you find when you lift your leg that your body rocks or tips away, that's okay. We're just gonna leave it there for the next rep. Okay, so if I lift that shin and the body rocks away, fine. Set the knee down, keep the torso where it is. Big breath in, develop tension everywhere, and then pour it into that side of hip stuff for the next repetition. Things to look out for, right? As we lift that knee, making sure that we're not letting it float forward. If you need to, place a yoga block in front of the thigh, challenge that there, okay? Ways to regress this: the further away from my trail leg that I lean, or the further forward over this lead leg that I lean, the easier it's going to be for my trail leg in this exercise, both in the lift-offs and in the pure internal rotation, right? For this trail leg in external rotation, the further this way I lean away from my trail leg, maybe even coming down to the elbow, the easier this movement's going to be, okay? The further back away from this lead leg that I lean, the easier this is going to be. You'll know you found the right spot when you feel a stretch in this hip diving in, and when you can begin to feel some contraction, some inside of hip stuff here working in those passive range holds. An additional regression for both of these would be to sit up on top of something like a stack of pillows or some yoga blocks to make this a little bit easier. Go for 6 to 8 holds on the lead leg and external rotation, 6 to 8 holds on the trail leg for internal rotation. Go ahead and pivot to the other side of 90-90, lay on down, wash, rinse, repeat for the other side of the setup. Take a breather. If that works for you, come back for another set later. Give it a go, see how you feel.